Okay, go. Oh, those worms.
Mm-hmm.
Those are bean sprouts.
Mm-hmm. Watch this one.
Ooh, worms and dirt. Is all that? That's all worm poop.
Mm-hmm.
That's no dirt.
Nope.
You haven't put any dirt in this. Nope. A whole thing is full of worm poop.
Yes.
Look at that worm.
Are you videoing that?
Yeah, crawling in his own poop.
Okay, that's one. This one is getting ready to harvest.
Yeah.
This is a working bin that I just put on the bottom. Those are cantaloupe seeds that took sprout. But because they're in the middle bin now, they'll rot and the worms will eat them.
Okay. Okay, so they're going to eat those little sprouts.
Yeah, but that's what that is, cantaloupe seeds. And because it was the top bin, a little bit of light got in there,
Oh, okay.
and they sprouted. Now, I'm ready for this one to stop feeding them in this one because it's getting full. So I just made this one. Okay.
So if you were starting out, this is what your bin would look like.
Right. And
well,
I put
what's in there?
old leaves, and you can put a little bit of your compost in there, but I didn't because the leaves will break down and make its own compost. And you see there's worms in there already.
And they're eating?
They eat the leaves. They love leaves.
Right.
Okay? And that's another reason why you want to go, important that your yard is organic, because the worms cannot eat anything synthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, like my carrots, this was lettuce that I had yesterday. Now, this will feed them for a while. I do have a lot of worms, and I have 3 bins. So, I think I'm not sure how much you feed them. I think it's like, I just feed them like every 3 days. I give them a handful of something, and it seems to be enough. I mean, if your bin starts stinking, then you're feeding them too much. And if your worms start leaving, that means they're hungry. So I haven't had a worm leave.
Nobody's moved out.
Nobody's moved out, and you want it to be, you want it this to be as moist as a wrung out sponge. See, that's
kind of gross sounding.
This actually is a little too wet. But I can take this, and
look at all the worms in there.
They don't exactly like this because you're messing up, you know.
But there's like so many, every handful.
I have thousands. But if I take this and I kind of fluff it a little bit, it'll help break things down. And the faster things break down, the easier it is for them to eat. And if it gets too wet, it'll dry it out a little bit. One thing about the worm factories, this plastic type, is it holds a lot of moisture, so you have to worry about it getting too wet. Some worm, look at that big leaf. Some worms bins are too dry, and you have to constantly give them water. But I very seldom have to mist it. In the heat of the summer, I got a mister out here and had to mist it. Oh, get back in there, baby. Let me see if I dropped one. Nope. Yep.
Oh no, rescue it!
I will. He has a perfect little home.
Whatever will he do in the wild? He's a houseworm. He can't survive in the wild.
Look, he's not that old either.
Oh, it's a baby worm.
And so, see, I just fluffed that a little bit, and it helped get some air up in there, so that doesn't stay too wet. Look, this is a clump right here. This is an old tea bag for iced tea. See that? And the iced tea bag has rotten, which, when I say rotten, it's not stinky. And the worms are eating it. They're just all up in there. Okay. So, anyway, like I said, this one, I will not put any more food in this one. And it'll take them a few...
So, that in between all the cantaloupe sprouts and leaves, that's all worm poop, too.
Yeah. That's what they
this,
ate.
This started out just as garbage.
Started out like this one. Leaves. And this and some compost out of my compost pile. Just a little bit to get them started, because you want to, when you get them started, you want them to have something to eat.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that, like if you give them the vegetables aren't ready to eat right away.
Because they're not broken down.
Right, but if you don't have a compost pile and you need them to have something to eat right away, you can take your vegetables and put them in a blender and blend them up, put a little bit of water, just a little bit of water, just, enough to get them going, and blend it up, and then put that in there, and it rots really fast that way. When I say rot, it's not stinky. It decomposes. Okay, and see, now this working bin right here, you can see that there's still food in it. If there wasn't any food in it, there wouldn't be any
Is there a
worms.
worm down? One worm fell to the wayside.
Okay, I'll get it. So if there wasn't any food in this, the worms wouldn't be in it.
So they are obviously eating.
They're eating, yes, because they will eat. They will poop their castings, and they will continue to eat it because it's not.
They eat their poo. Is that what you're telling me they're doing?
Yeah, because there's still organic matter in it, and they'll eat it and eat it and eat it until it just gets. What would be the word? It just
Purified?
yeah, and so this is really wet, but worms like it moist. So this is actually. I should be getting ready to harvest this. There's a stick in there. You see all those worms in there? So you can't see any organic vegetables or anything in it. But there's something in there for them to eat.
So how do they move between the bins?
There's holes. See those holes?
In the bottom of every tray?
In the bottom of every tray. And they like... they will, because if there's any light, they'll go down. Okay? Now see, eventually that's not going to be any more food in there, and they're all going to move up to this bin, and they're going to finish eating in here. Now there's a lot of food in here. This is going to be here for a while. But because it's full, I had to make a new bin, so I put this on top of this. All right? The wet newspaper helps keep it moist, and it keeps the flies cannot get in there to lay eggs.
Oh, yeah, that would be disgusting.
Yeah.
Wrong kind of worm.
Right. So, now, because this one's almost done, they're going to move up into here, and then this one will be almost done, and they'll move up into here.
And then you need to empty one.
But
so
I
you
have
can
to put the
rotate.
lid on to keep it dark.
Yeah.
Because if it's light, they will not come up in here. Now, how I harvest that, I'll show you how I harvest it. What I'll do, I got to be careful when I lay this down because there's worms hanging out the holes at the bottom. I don't want to squish them. So I always put it on cat corner like that. I would take this bin right here, and this will be my top bin.
Hi.
And I will leave the lid off.
Oh.
And then all the worms will move down to the bin underneath because they don't like light. Okay?
Oh, so that's how you get all the worms out of there.
Right.
And then you can just dump it.
And then,
So you don't have to sift through it and find worms?
well, I sift through it anyway because once in a while you'll find that
No worm left behind.
yeah, absolutely, no worm left behind because I love my worms. They're so awesome.
You do realize they double their population just every couple months.
Yeah, depending on the temperature. So like in the wintertime they really slow down. But they do double their the population grows so fast that if you get too many worms in one of these things, they'll eventually move out because they'll get hungry. But I haven't had that problem. But when I start having too many worms, what I'll do is I'll harvest not just the worm poo or castings, I will harvest the worms. And what am I going to do with those worms? I am going to put them in my perennial flower beds. And they will live there.